Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday panel, Digitalization in the Opera World. My name is Stefanos Koroneos, and I am the Artistic Director of Teatro Grattacielo and Camerata Bardi Vocal Academy. This year, while we had so many limitations, COVID-related limitations, I should say, we, as a company, but not only us, many other companies, we have decided to go digital, to actually not close our doors, not stop producing, but to switch from a live performance into a digital performance. Then it's streaming. It will be streaming, I should say, through our website. We have today invited another wonderful New York-based company, Divaria Productions, to be with us in this panel, and we shall be talking exactly about digitalization in the opera world. But oh joy of joys, I will not be the moderator today. I will take a sit back and relax and enjoy. And I would like to introduce you the moderator for today. Her name is ERIDIN OPUTU. She's a wonderful Nigerian writer who lives in Philadelphia. And ERIDIN, hi, first of all. Nice to virtually meet you. And I will leave you the microphone and take it from here.
Right, thank you. So, hello everyone. I'm really excited to do this. The first question that I had for everyone in this panel is, as Stefanos was saying, yes, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought challenges to everyone. It's upended all of our lives, but it's hit the art world particularly hard. And I was just wondering, what are some of the challenges that you're currently facing in the arts world in general, but specifically in opera? And how have you adapted? Enzo, would you like to start first, or Ashley?
Yes. Hello, thanks so much for being here today. Well, I feel in general, even before COVID, one of the challenges facing the opera world is the aging demographic. So in our company, what we've tried to do to face that has been by merging different genres to reach out to different types of audiences, people that might like Broadway, theater, or dance. And we met this challenge, for example, with our production of Othello, the opera and play enmeshed, where we presented Othello three ways: the opera, the play, and dance. With COVID, however, comes the added challenge of not being able to perform live because of the safety issues. So one of the ways in which we decided to face this was by adding the new genre of film and working within that with opera. Now, the interesting thing with film, which Anton is going to talk about more later, but is that one of the most beautiful things that I find about opera is hearing the sound in the theater and the voices live. And that's something that you don't get in the same way through film necessarily. And people are so much interested in the visual component. So that is something that I feel like if you're merging with film is something that really needs to be dealt with in opera and focused on. Another issue is that people are in a lot of different places and not able to travel safely or because of quarantine or travel restrictions. So our project, for example, we had to end up producing on an intercontinental basis. We had our director and some actors in Spain. We had a tenor in Chicago, and we had some singers and a film crew here in New York. And we had to be very creative with how to make all of that work. For example, the tenor, we used his voice, but then we have another actor that actually plays his role in Spain. And another issue I would say is singing as a super spreader for COVID and the difficulty of infecting other singers potentially if you're working together in a production. So one of the ways I decided to deal with this was I wrote the whole script for our project with that in mind. And I pared it down to just focus on the two women, Queen Elizabeth I and Mary, Queen of Scots, to make it such that the women are very much in their own realms until they come together in a famous scene. So in that way, they don't really need to have much contact with each other for safety reasons, but an interesting story is still able to be told.
That's absolutely fantastic. Enzo, would you also like to talk about how you've been meeting these challenges?
Well, it was a tremendous challenge this year. And the biggest problem is the loss of everybody has to make a living, although passion is what is the main thing for singers and artists. Passion is the main character of artists, but income is important. And the biggest thing that happened this year, of course, with the pandemic, is the loss of income for the theaters and for the artists. And therefore, there has been an enormous loss in this world of the arts in general, because people cannot stay without work for a year, and I'm afraid there will be a lot of people leaving the arts for other jobs. So we are in a time of transition between the beauty of being on stage and the beauty of being on video. Innovation, what it brings, that's my opinion, is a rejuvenation of the public when it comes to opera, because it opens to millions of people now throughout the world, instead of a single theater with 1,000, 2,000 people in there. Is the biggest event in town or whatever. But with the good side of digitalization is that now we open to the entire world. We reach millions of people through the internet in many countries, and that's a beautiful thing. The world is getting very small. This is the positive side of this pandemic. Okay, so not all is. I think it's a time of transition. We're trying to rebuild the way music has been done. We don't know how long it's going to last. I think it's going to be probably another year or 6 months or whatever. But by doing this transformation, we'll be there ready. We are ready to entertain people all over the world instead of local people. The interesting thing at Teatro Grattacielo, we didn't know about this pandemic in January when we with Stefanos we planned on being on digital. So we were planning. So we were ready when the time started. We were ready in there. So we did many performances this year. And thank God for that. And as a consequence of doing those performances, we learned a lot. And therefore now we're gonna have our own production company. So we're gonna produce our own material. We are in the process of finalizing that. So the most interesting thing, our first vocal competition, thanks to technology, brought us 29 countries, which was, to me, is like a miracle. 29 countries now, they saw what we did, and the next one probably will open up to 50 countries. So I think it's a very positive thing, and eventually we're going to produce. Everybody's going to produce. Singers will get paid, and they can stay alive. Because otherwise it's very difficult. You have to bring bread home. It's very difficult to survive, and this system of streaming will provide the income to the singers, to the artists. We are doing our best here in New York to do that with our academy. We are in Greece also. As we speak, we have an academy going in Greece right now. So all thanks to the technology, which I'm not an expert, but I love it. So this is my personal thought.
Thank you. That was great. We're now going to play a video showing some of the work that Teatro Grattacielo has been staging throughout the year. I think it's a brief snippet just so people get a flavor of what you've been working on.
Well, besides the vocal competition, we produce several concerts. We're going to have a new one online soon. Beautiful artists from Africa to Eastern Europe to the United States, from Italy, all together on the world stage. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. Also, we produce Mephistopheles because we celebrate the 100th anniversary of Beniamino Gigli at the Met. And we just finished with Fedora. Mephistopheles is already online. Anybody can watch that. And Fedora will be ready by the end of the month. I hope we can finalize by the end of this month. and that's a big production. That's a nice, beautiful production that we're gonna have. For that, we had the Global Vision really assisting us, helping us, because it's a big production. So, and by the end of the year, we are coming up with a program for the next year, which will be very exciting. And also, we have the Vocal Academy in Greece right now. We have contacts and active negotiation with other opera houses in the United States and other parts of the world. So we are very, very busy. Stefanos sleeps 3 hours every day. No more than, I don't think he sleeps more than that. So we sleep around 4 hours each, let's put it this way. So we're always there to try to come up with innovative ideas to please the people that are waiting to hear somebody singing, because singing is the language of God to people.
Yes.
And the other arts too is an expression of the interior. And with this terrible thing, we cannot let the soul go to sleep. We have to keep everything moving, all the feelings and everything. And this is only through this medium, through technology, that we can do this.
That's really true. And actually, that before we play the other clip, that actually leads perfectly into something else that I wanted to talk to you and Emilia about. But I was curious as to, how does opera work within the context of film? I mean, how do you combine such different art forms to create something?
Emilia is the expert in this. Emilia Nuccio is our guide in this, and she's the expert. But what we are doing, we're basically doing like a film. We're doing documentary, docu-film with the opera. We try to enrich with different things. So it's a new experience for us. We didn't do this before, but according to the people and the feedback we have all over the world, everybody appreciates what we're doing. And we're going to get better. We're going to get advice from experts, and we're going to continue doing better. As we have our own production company, then we keep on improving. Looking for new talents.
Always, of course.
Always.
Something else that you mentioned that I'd love to return to is, you were talking about how, of course, with everything that's happened with COVID, it's a challenge to secure funding or make sure that there's money coming in to support opera companies. I wanted to talk to you a bit more about how you're monetizing these new things that you're putting out, these new opportunities that you have.
Well, money is always the problem. And in this case, we have been helping, financing all at this point, we have been financing the entire project. Once we have a good product that we do, and once people appreciate, the best way to fund it would be for through advertising, because through Camerata Bardi, we have an open channel. We're going to add more products in there for people to see. We're going to have our own channel, and we're going to provide entertainment to people, not only about opera, but also Broadway. And we're opening to the Latin American market right now. We are in the process of opening to that with the great people in there. So we're going to have a streaming of art and culture. And a lot of people viewing that. The more people view it, the more advertisers would like to pledge something to help us produce it. I think that's the best way that we can do this. We ask for the advertiser to help us, produce what we're doing. It's not going to be easy. We're going to have operas online, and not only that we produce, but very important opera houses in the world produced. We are planning on doing that, a continuous stream of operas, concerts, and but not only that, we have cooking. We have been trying with cooking. People love that. From different parts of the world, everybody can make their own dish. We are working on that too. Everybody likes to eat. Everybody eats. So we're gonna have that in there too. So we're gonna have a very active channel, and I hope income comes in to be able to continue. Right now things are tough, but we're gonna survive this, and we're gonna come out of this.
That's perfectly true. I'd like to talk a bit more about one of the productions that you briefly mentioned. You said that one of the things that the company has been working on is a celebration of Beniamino Gigli.
Yes.
I'm sure this was deeply important to you because I know that he is one of the reasons that you are so inspired and so love opera. Can you tell us all about how this production came together?
Well, I am personally friend with the Gigli family. I'm honored to be their friend. Unfortunately, Beniamino Gigli Jr. Passed away. His grandson, the grandson of the original Beniamino Gigli, passed away this year, and it was a shock to everybody. He loved arts. He had a beautiful voice, and when he sang, I can hear his grandfather in there. He was so interesting. His voice was just like hearing his grandfather. The beautiful quality of the voice, the texture, you know. But we became very good friends. We were planning on doing events here in Italy with this. We started. Unfortunately, he left us. So in his honor, we decided to celebrate the Beniamino Gigli's grandfather at the Met 100 years ago. Mephistophele was the first opera, and he stayed here many, many years. He lived in New York for, I think, 10 years. After that, he was always the singer of the Met, right after Caruso. Caruso was just ending, and Gigli was starting at the Met. There was no competition there. It just happened that Gigli was younger, and he came in right when Caruso, before the last year of his life. Caruso died, I think, a year after of Beniamino Gigli at the Met. And in fact, Caruso was a wonderful. He used to make paintings. He drafted something about Gigli. He gave it to him, a picture of Gigli. He donated to him. Yes, and when Gigli performed, he sent his secretary to listen to it, and he told him, "We have a real winner here." You know, when he went back to Caruso. So Caruso he drew a nice picture, a portrait of Beniamino Gigli. He gave it to him. So it was our tribute to Gigli, but also to his grandson and the family Gigli, which they come from Recanati, this beautiful village in Italy, in the Marche region. In fact, we're going to follow up with a documentary on people. They are very important in the tradition of Belcanto and Gigli. Soon, we're going to have that online too. We produced a few years ago, and now we are putting it together. Stefanos is, and we're going to have it online with incredible information about private information from his nephew, Luigi Vincenzoni, from Pierluca Trucchia, who is the president of the Gigli Foundation, and a few interesting people in there. And people have the chance to see where Beniamino Gigli started in his hometown, in the church, in his hometown. It will be interesting to watch. It will be a beautiful thing. That's why we went into that project.
That's great. So people will be able to watch that alongside the production celebrating the 100th anniversary of his debut.
Yes. You can watch that. It's on our website, Teatro Grattacielo. You can watch that. It's our production with Malena and Stefanos looking over the details, and they're very fussy about it.
I was wondering if you could also tell us a bit more about Fedora, which I understand is the other major project that Teatro Grattacielo has had this year.
Well, Teatro Grattacielo has been traditionally a bellissimo opera company. Brilliant for 26 years, producing beautiful productions in New York City, always with tremendous writing from the critics. We have a record of everybody talked very well about our production.
So hello, I'm back.
Glad to see you, because I couldn't answer all those questions.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. My computer just crashed completely, shut off, and I couldn't get anybody to. I couldn't get it to work. So, ERIDIN, please move on. Where were we? I'm back.
I kept on talking, and she's wonderful. She kept on asking me questions.
Okay.
Thank God I was able to answer them.
So, ERIDIN.
So I think the audience would love to see a video from Teatro Grattacielo showing some of the work that you've been producing this year under such challenging circumstances.
Okay, the first one is going to be the trailer from our very first digital production that we have done, which is already streaming in our website. It's a dedication to Beniamino Gili, a great tenor Beniamino Gili from Italy, and here it goes.
Le torve passioni del cuore s'assomano in placido oblio. Mi ferme soltanto l'amore dell'uomo, l'amore di Dio. Dai campi, dai prati, ritorno verso l'Evangelo, mi sento attratto al cingo. Ciò che chiamasi peccato, ciò che chiamasi peccato, ciò che chiamasi peccato, morte dentro questa sillaba. No, strugate interrupto sibilo.
That was fantastic. I'm blown away by that. And the next question I have, and it's for Emilia, is how does opera work within the context of film? I mean, clearly you understand that beautifully because you put that together. but I was wondering if you could talk to me and the audience about the process of connecting to such different art forms so beautifully.
It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. Edwin, let me just preface that I've been in the entertainment media world for a long time, and I come from the broadcast side of matters, not truly from the production side, but more from the distribution side. I'm the bridge that takes the art, the content in whichever form is given to me, and I make sure that it is made available on every single medium, single platform. So if we go back a few years prior to 1980, let's start with, there were 3 broadcast channels, and then there was cable, and there were 500 channels. So you do need more content constantly to fill these channels. Things started changing, and then when Netflix first started coming onto the scene, we saw the beginning of streaming and digitalization. And my world, which is a world of producers who get funding to create movies, to create television series, to create TV movies, cinema, also started looking at, let's go directly to consumers. Now, the cinema world has been as impacted as much as the opera world, because you go to the cinema, there you are, you are present, and there is the whole environment atmosphere. Well, that's no longer possible. So that's why we see, to just make a similarity, movies that are now immediately going to Disney, to the streaming platforms. So we have all had to adjust. It has been a tremendous transition period, but I have seen it in the past 2-3 years, the growth of digital platforms that require more and more content. And I don't want to bore the audience, but there is this, we all know about VOD, video on demand. But the reality is that there are many different kinds of VOD. And so let's say that the opera is produced just like Teatro Grattacielo did, Mefistofele, Fedora, all the various concerts. How do we bring that to the public? And beyond Facebook, beyond Instagram, beyond the snippets? Well, there are so many platforms today that can make the content available, not only in a thematic channel, which is what Enzo was talking about. This is the idea that we are working on, where all the productions of Teatro Grattacielo are focused on a channel and made available to people around the world. We were talking the other day about how up until now, opera has been for the elites, for people who had the means, for people who could go and enjoy this art form. And we are seeing that, as Stefanos says, opera is just another way of telling stories. And I have to talk about an anecdote of when I saw my first opera. I was in Torino, Italy. I was like 12 years old, and the class took us to see Rigoletto. And I will never, ever forget. But before they took us, what they did is they explained the story, the teacher explained what this was about, gave us a background. So I think that, I hope I'm not digressing too much, but I think that opera needs to be positioned, needs to be presented. You cannot just, if someone has not, let's say, grown up with it, or has an affinity for it, or has friends who love it and do everything for it, like Enzo and Stefano, there is an opportunity here to create sort of an educational way to introduce opera and to do it via these channels and the streaming platforms, of which there are many. Now, even I don't know if you've heard that Samsung is selling televisions with all these various channels. Now, we in the United States are very advanced, but for example, in Italy, they're just launching Samsung with all these channels, and they only have 25 channels. And I said to Enzo, perfect timing to create a channel dedicated to opera, but not just streaming the opera, but also educating about opera and talking about the historical times and why it led to this art form. So I believe that just like any other art form, if properly positioned, opera can truly become, food for everyone, food for the soul and for the mind of everyone. And thanks to the technology, we can do that today. So when I said that distribution is my expertise, is because that's what I do day in and day out. I look for content that can appeal to either a broad audience or a niche audience, and I bring it to that niche audience. And I am very excited about being able to add my effort and to be a part of this amazing initiative. Thank you.
I'm excited too. Thank you so much, Emilia.
Thank you.
I'd also like to ask Anton from the Divaria side the same question. So how do you feel opera works within the context of film, and how do you put opera and film together, even though they're so different?
Well, first of all, thank you very much to allow me to be here with you today. Well, this is a very interesting question, because we are talking about two different ways of telling stories to the audience. And maybe we're talking about the two extremes of the way of telling stories. What I mean is that when you act, when you perform in an opera on a stage, everything needs to be very exaggerated. All the movements, the voice, the words, we stretch the words up to the top because we have to go with the music. So then our movements need to be with the music. On the other hand, we have movies, we have cinema, and nowadays, especially, they want the actors be natural, 100 by 100, so totally natural. So how can we do it? And that is a very interesting question. But once you find that you can melt both ways of both forms of art, it works. But you have to keep what I think. This is my experience for what we did, how we worked in this production of Rival Queens. Obviously, they have to act, they have to sing like in opera. They have to go ahead the camera. They have to pass what in theater is the pitch, but in this case it's the camera. But all the movements need to be much more quiet, much more realistic, because if not, when you have a camera like we have now, just 50 centimeters from our face, it is ridiculous to see a singer or an actor doing the same movements as we do in theater. The thing is that, of course, when you are on stage, you are singing at the same time that you perform. When you are doing a movie, it's completely different. First, you have sung in a studio, you have recorded that music. And then when you are on stage doing the movie, you are just acting. And that is how you can melt opera with cinema. But I think, and there are very good examples. For example, there are movies of Rigoletto, Lucia, di Lammermoor. There are many examples. And they worked. They really worked, because something different is what we see now on theaters. So the Met just produced streaming of La Fille du Régiment. We're not going to see the movie of the film of La Fille du Régiment. We are going to watch the opera at the Met on a screen, on a theater movie. So they are acting as on a stage, and we see that that is normal. We understand that language of acting, but in a theater, in a movie, it's completely different. So we have to adapt and adjust our way of acting to the movie.
Okay, thank you. I think that really explained it beautifully. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is a clip from Divaria's production of Rival Queens. So I think we can just go straight to that.
Figlia ancora di Bolleno, parli tu di disonore, meretrice degno oscena, in te cade il mio rossore, profanato, e sola crese, vil bastardo, dai doppia.
Oh, that was amazing. The next question that I had was of the ways that digital and multimedia platforms can support opera. I mean, it's certainly a digital platform that's brought us all together today. And I would like to kick that off with Ashley, actually.
Oh, okay. Actually, I believe Anton was going to answer
Oh,
this.
he wanted to take that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this is very interesting. And as Enzo said before, I think this is maybe only one positive point about this pandemic or this situation. We have to make up how to perform, how to do our job, and how to reach new audiences. Up to now, to watch an opera or to see an opera, you had to go to a theater. That made that, at least in Spain, in many places of Spain, people thought that opera was something for old people and rich people. So now we have to change that, and that is our work. Now we have streaming. Now we have all these platforms, Netflix, Amazon, HBO, many platforms to watch movies. And I think that is very important for us. I think that when you can watch maybe on demand, maybe paying something to view the show or whatever, but when you are able to watch an opera on your TV, your tablet, your computer, even your cell phone, you open this world of music to everybody else. So people don't need to go to a theater, don't need to dress up, or maybe they can change their mind about this way of opera, and that is very, very important.
Yes, it really is. That's also a question that I'd love to hear Emilia's thoughts about too.
It's actually, I would like to answer that, hearing, if you don't mind. So,
Great.
Yeah, I mean, most of what I wanted to say has been said already from Anton, and I don't want to go back repeating the same things. He really touched all the main points. But what I would like to say, though, it's that opera can benefit from a lot of other art forms. And this is something that many people don't talk about it unless you are specialized in something like you are a multimedia artist or etc. But there are so many technologies, so many techniques, and so many instruments right now within the arts world that can benefit and can benefit opera, and opera can benefit from them. Obviously, I'm not the right person to talk about that, because I'm just, an opera singer who runs an opera company. But I can tell you that for our productions, the 2 digital productions that we created for this year, we have used certain techniques and we have used certain technologies, in other words, such as interactive cameras, pre-made projections that they were used at the moment, that were created at the moment, and obviously multimedia arts, which is something that I'm very passionate about, and I cannot wait to see art forms that until maybe a couple of years or some even recently, they were not supposedly blending, to finally start blending and to create something that is coherent and beautiful.
Well, that was beautiful. I think now we're going to take a look at a clip from Fedora.
Okay, so before we start, we go to that clip, I just want to point out that this was one of our biggest projects for this year. It's been edited right now and is going to be streaming at the end of this month through our website. And this is just a little snippet from Fedora's aria. And before we go on, I would like to say a couple of words about the difficulties of filming through COVID restrictions. And this was something that it was pretty clear to us from the beginning. And this is something that I think our audiences would like to know, because it has been like this for all of us, for every company, every opera company in the world. In our case, we filmed this production in an industrial theater in Brooklyn. 6,000 square feet. It was a huge space where we could have only 14 people within the building. Obviously, with this kind of limitations, it was pretty clear to us that we could not absolutely have an orchestra. It was not possible, and because certain operas do not sound right if they are done with some kind of reduction, the only thing that we could actually have was a piano and singers and our crew, and obviously myself, who I was there going crazy. And I think this is kind of what all opera companies have experienced when they decided not to close, but to go on producing beautiful music. Thank you.
It was beautiful. I think very intimate and moving as well. But this brings me on to something else that I think we're all thinking about right now, because the cast and the crew can come from all over the world and work together. But that also means that an audience for a production can come from everywhere. So I wanted to ask Emilia more about how do you reach a global audience?
So again, with the streaming platforms that are now embarked the world, literally, if we think about Netflix is in 170 plus countries, maybe even more, but they dub in every language, they subtitle, they have now literally made available all sorts of productions from every part of the world. We can enjoy them here in the United States. We see series from Denmark and from Turkey, and they're subtitled, and an audience has been developing of all this newness, all this innovation. We're getting to discover a world we did not know. We were used to the American content or British, because that spoke the language, and America is not a country where we are used to dubbing. Now with music is it's a universal language, and music moves in a way that no other art form really can touch the spirit and human. Even if you don't understand, the music moves you. Now, the opera is loved all over the world by a certain public. What's interesting with this, with the digitalization and with the ability to put, let's say, Mefistofele or Fedora on multiple platforms, is that there are this new ways of VOD, which is advertising video on demand, where you can you have access, and the way to monetize is through an advertiser, and this makes it a point so that we can reach audiences globally. Amazon is truly making growing in many countries. There are aggregators, so-called aggregator, that will take your content and will put it on Tubi, and well, Quibi is no longer, but there is a huge amount of local platforms. We know of the big ones, but there are local platforms that always look for new content, innovative content, differently produced content. Now, the job now is to be able to find the right platform, the right audience, and to make sure that what Teatro Grattacielo is producing and what other opera houses come together and can be streamed around the world. But it is very doable. Today there are no boundaries.
You're quite right, there aren't.
There are no boundaries.
Thank you, Emilia. I'd also love to hear from Divaria about this as well. Perhaps, Ashley, you'd like to take that?
Sure. Well, in the times that we're living in, the one advantage is that there's nothing more global than the video platform. The video platform is global by definition, and the world is connected even more tightly through Zoom, Google Meet, and all of those tools. And so there are many ways for us to reach people all around the world. One way in which we can reach a global audience might be a strategy that we're employing, which is to have different premieres for different time zones. For example, our premiere is coming out here first at the evening time for the US, but we're going to have another premiere for Europe because obviously that would be 2 a.m. in the morning. Another way that I actually think on a global level is very beneficial is the subtitles are actually quicker and cheaper to implement in this format, in the digital and video format. So more people have the option to have opera accessible, and they're even closer to the action, so that might make it even easier for people to read. Another thing that can help to reach a global audience, and which going digital can really aid, is accessibility and affordability. So having opera presented as a film or digitally, you don't need to have a special handicap seating. People don't have to travel. There are different prices, and in general, the prices are cheaper than some of the highest prices that you will see at large theaters, like $300. And so it's accessible to a wider range of economic backgrounds, and people everywhere in the world can have opera, especially exciting for people who perhaps their towns don't have an opera company and they haven't had the chance to experience it. This digitalization of opera gives the chance for new audiences to learn about it.
That was great. I think the next thing we're going to take a look at is another project that Divaria has been working on, the Joys of Opera. Which is, I think we all understand that the arts need funding to survive, and how, I was wondering how you monetize events and performances. But Stefanos, would you like to start off with that one?
Yes, absolutely. And I would like to bring in also my partner in crime in Teatro Grattacielo and Camerata Bardi Vocal Academy, the ever young and everlasting Enzo, who you should know at the beginning of the show saved the day because my computer crashed and I was texting you guys frenetically, asking you to make him keep talking because I couldn't get in my computer anymore. Enzo, you are my hero.
Well, I kept on talking because I figured something would happen.
You have been upgraded just right now. Okay, I will tell you later what I have created a new position for you within the company because you have so much impressed me. Bravo! And it's
Well, I told Stefanos before, I have a lot of talents. One of them, the most important one, is that I have Stefanos there to ask questions when I don't know. My talent is to ask questions to Stefanos, and then I have the answer.
No, but you saved the day. Anyway, we go back to the question about monetizing. Monetizing, obviously, it's an important aspect, let's be honest, of every opera company. In United States, unlike any other parts of the world, we are not founded privately, and that means that we have to come up with the money through fundraising before, hopefully, the performance is done. The performances are done. That said, it is always important to monetize, to even online, to have a ticket, to have something that gives value to the project. Asking for money in the opera world is nothing really strange and nothing really weird and nothing wrong, because like every other art form, opera needs to be sustained and needs to be monetized in a certain way. So there are many ways to do it. We will have a small ticket for Fedora, plus we have a button on our website where we accept donations. And I think that I can talk about, I can voice many of my colleagues when I say that when you donate to an opera company, to everybody who is listening to us right now, even if you donate $5, that $5 are put to good use, and they go to sustain artists that needs every little dime, especially right now.
Our mission is also educational. Through the academy, we keep the love of opera alive among young singers. And before this pandemic, you had all around the world hundreds of thousands of aspiring singers that all of a sudden they see no future because everything stopped. And but we keep on going with this academy. We keep on helping young singers. Eventually, some of them can sing with Teatro Grattacielo, either in person or online. We plan on doing more and more concerts and performances. So our mission is to help develop the young singers into real artists. Especially now we're opening to the Latin American market, meaning we have Zarzuela, we have beautiful music, and China is next. So we are worldwide, and there are beautiful I can't believe how many wonderful voices I heard during the vocal competition. It was very difficult to choose between one and the other. Thank God I had no part of it, but it was so beautiful to see how many beautiful singers out there, and the voices, they're like old timers.
Right.
And from all over the world, and that's the beauty of it. You have to have a passion for singing. If you have it, you should sing. You should sing, because people they have that within themselves. They should sing, including me. I'm not doing it, but I should do it.
Thank you so much for this. And this also goes just to stay on theme of monetization. Monetization has many aspects. One of these aspects is the educational aspect. The more a company can monetize, the more can have the possibility to educate and to promote young opera singers, upcoming opera singers, or directors, or whatever else is involved within the opera world. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'd like to hear Anton also talk about this question about monetization and securing funding for things?
Yeah, well, this in Spain is slightly different than in United States, because I think that in United States don't have the kind of government help in money that we have in Spain. We usually work with a lot of grants from the government, but of course, with this pandemic and so on, there is no money for everything. And as we say in Spain, the first that suffer the economy is culture, arts, and of course music and opera. So we have to think, we have to make up a new way to get the money. And one of the things is about all this kind of publicity that we can use inside a movie or inside a show, and then throw it through streaming, through all these platforms, because as somebody said before, we are now open to the world. The kind of educational projects as Divaria Productions or my company here in Spain have their excellent platforms for this kind of how do you say that? Monetization?
Yes, monetization.
Thank you. Sorry for that. Thank you. Because educational programs really are important, not only to make opera popular, but also to make the audiences more cultivated and more to teach an audience how to think and how to react about what is happening in politics, in the social crisis that we are living, and also, of course, how to relax and how to be better with oneself, with themselves, with myself, with every individual. We at least here, companies, we need to rethink how to get the money for our projects.
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to add myself to the discussion, and I think it is that time of the day that I would like to bring everybody in. So get all ready, beautiful people, to be on screen. I would like to say, you know, it was pretty illuminating for me to hear that I have thought for such a long time is becoming true in a way. Talking about the digitalization and talking about presenting operas and new projects on digital was something that I had in mind for a long time, and I will never forget some discussions between friends and colleagues and people who would run other opera companies. And when I would talk about filming an opera without presenting it in public, people would kind of take a step back. But I think that it is incredible to see how this situation, this pandemic situation that we are living right now, has not stopped creation. This is the main thing that we should be all talking about. That thank God that we have in this world so many creative minds, people who will wake up in the morning and who will make it work also in the world of opera. So that gives me life, that makes me very grateful, and that makes me pretty excited to wake up tomorrow morning, get on my computer, and work on the next project or on the next fundraise. Anybody else would like to say something, some final words? Is it something that you would like to add? No?
I would like to say a word of hope, because although the global moment is really terrible, but maybe without this pandemic, now we won't be here trying to discover new waves of art as they did 400 years ago.
It's true. That's a good one. Yes. So we make the best out of a bad situation. We make the best of it. And music continues. And so art continues, and that's the beauty of it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for being with us. It has been a beautiful afternoon. I'm sorry at the beginning about my troubles with my computer, because I was supposed to be in the commands of what happens in between the scenes. But, you know, my computer had another mind, and we recovered well, I think. I wish all of you a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful Sunday, and thank you for watching us. Ciao, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao,
Thank you.
ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.